Hello, everyone. Welcome to the July Koha-US Cataloging Special Interest Group meeting. One thing I wanted to do before we leap into cataloging is I recently really started dipping my toes into IRC. And it's really cool. And I thought I'd share my screen and just show it off a little bit because I think it could be a really great resource for everyone.
Yeah.
So let's see.
There are 10 people watching. Of course, it's not going to work.
I love flailing. It just, it makes everybody realize we're all flailers at something. Hey, Parik. Okay, here we go. Can people see the Koha Library website? Okay. So the Koha community website. So it's koha-community.org. You go to get involved and you go to chat. It says the channel is logged. If you go there, here's all the transcripts of it. And you can search it, which is really, really cool. So leave channel selected. Nick, I think his nickname, text. That's where you put something like, I'm going to put Mark and submit. And here's where everybody talked about Mark. And you'll notice it's automatically truncated. So even if you never go into chat, there's this resource where you can search it. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to just pick connect directly through my browser. Put in a nickname and connect. Because it's my work computer, does that. And then it took me a long time to figure this out. But this little tiny box down here is where you put in things to chat. So I put in like, hi, this is Heather. I'm in the Koha-US CatZig meeting right now, typoing, showing everyone how cool IRC is. Oh, it thought it was a command. That's really interesting. Hi. I'll just say hi. Can't use this command. Okay, so it's not working right now. But anyway, that's what you usually do. It usually works
for me.
I think
hi is a command.
Oh, thanks. See, I'm a total newbie. Anyway, I'm going to stop sharing this window and you just close the tab and it closes it.
I used to have it on my spare Linux computer, the link in Firefox, but seems to have disappeared.
Well, anyway, it's really easy. If you even just use that search, it's super handy, and everyone there is totally nice. It usually works for me. I think maybe because of the screen sharing, or it's my work computer. I don't know. But yeah, just go in, say hi, ask any question. The time difference sometimes means that there's no one there, or maybe there's someone there, but the channel is logged. So there's that. Then I wanted to show people, we got updated to 22.11 and it's super cool. And I ran across a lot of bugs, but I wouldn't like not upgrade for the world. It's totally neat. I'm going to go ahead and I want to share my screen, and let me get the window up. There we go. I want to just show one thing, and then I'm going to put a lot of bugs in the chat. So I'm going to try sharing my screen again. Okay, can people see our catalog? Okay. So when you go to authorities, say we're searching Sterling, and I want to search the entire record for Sterling. I get a lot of neat stuff. And I'd be like, oh, Sterling Hayden? Huh. Yeah. I'm cataloging a book where Sterling Hayden actually worked on anchors, say. So I go look at Sterling Hayden. It's like, is this really the Sterling? Yeah, the star, because he actually was into sailing. So yeah, Sterling Hayden. Okay, so now I'm searching the entire record and I want to look about anchors. No results found. Excuse me. I know for a fact that this maritime library uses the subject heading anchors. So here's what's going on. And it took me quite a while to figure this out. So we're going to search entire record, Sterling. Now this eensy weensy, itty bitty, little tiny kebab looking thing is where you select what you're searching, like default, which really is keyword, operator, etc. So right now, of course, it's at default. I'm at the beginning. I just said authorities, so I'm searching Sterling. Here's lots of headings. This is still on default. I go look at Sterling Hayden, and this has been reset to personal name for me. How helpful. So when I go to entire record now and I want to search anchors, note it's still on personal name, but it's so hidden and tiny I don't realize it. So I just search anchors and it says nothing. But if I move it back to default, I get my anchors. So because it's so weeny tiny, I missed it. I've been emailing with other people who missed it. So that's one of the things that has gone into Bugzilla. It's like, it shouldn't, I don't think it should reset its search type based on something I looked at.
Or at the very least, it should show you what you're searching. That
Yeah,
would
it's
probably be
so hidden.
easier to put in.
I think we asked for a fix on that, did we, Michelle? For authority searching?
We changed it to starts with. That's what our cataloger wanted. So that's all we changed on there.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just put a lot of bugs for people to look at in the chat. While I'm doing that, does anybody have anything they wanted to bring to the group?
How do you do cataloging in OCLC, not from the Koha side? We're a consortium. We do hundreds of imports a week. We do it from the OCLC side, and it's really not working for us cataloging in Koha. We're not happy.
Oh gosh, okay. I can go ahead and show people what I do, if that would be helpful. All right, let me get my OCLC cataloging client up. And I'll put the bugs in later. All right, getting that up, logging in. Okay. All right, can people see my OCLC cataloging client? All right. So what I am going to catalog is something that I usually catalog for a test. Oh, too many records. I catalog too many records. I usually pull up something like The Hobbit, because there's no way my library, being a maritime history library, is going to have The Hobbit. So this one, ooh, this one's in a foreign language. Chinese, nice. Let's just do this. Let's just pretend we're cataloging this one. So I'm gonna save it. I'm not gonna set my holdings because we don't really have it. So it says no holdings in UDU, but that's okay, I can still export it. Maritime stacks, call number PR. Okay, I'm gonna fake a call number here. I'm not going to put in a barcode because it's not real and our system won't care. I'm going to put in a big public note. Cataloging test. And now I'm going to export it.
Heather,
Mm-hmm.
do you put in the 942?
I do not.
How come?
Never have.
We're a public library, and that's the one that indicates which icon's going to be displayed.
Okay, let's go look at the record in our Koha and we'll see if I have a system default or something like that. Okay,
Could
so
be
let
on
me.
the Koha side. Sorry.
Yeah, let me share now our catalog and we'll go look at the record.
Yeah, on my system, it's mandatory. I can upload a record, but if I try to make any changes, it's going to say, wait a minute, you need the 942.
We have to have the 942 as well. We can't save without it.
Okay, here's our record.
Of course, you can just change the framework and make it not required.
Let's see if we have one.
We'd be interested to see what
Nope.
framework it went into.
It went into, ours is default. Everything is default. We have no special frameworks.
Oh,
So our
yeah.
records, we are not using a 942. What I can do is overlay this record and put in a 942 and see if it works. So let's grab the record number.
Actually, just edit it.
Oh, great. Okay.
But you can add the 942 in part of your constant data in OCLC as well.
Right.
We only do a 999. We don't know what you're talking about with the 942 and the 952.
So the 952 is the item record.
942
$2 would
is
be,
default item type, the Koha specific, and subfield 8 is the cataloging system you're using.
So what should I put in for a 942?
subfield 2, DDC if you're using DDC, but you're using LCC.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So, subfield 2 LCC, subfield C,
Subfield C.
books.
Subfield, yeah.
Subfield C.
Okay.
But you need both of them
C
sometimes.
is item type. It was 2. That's right.
Ah, okay.
Our 2
And
is
books.
NLM.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Save. Let's take a look.
It pulled the right item type and gave you the item type in your item record, I noticed. But
Yeah.
when we were having this problem, it didn't populate to the OPEC
Oh,
without the
okay.
942C.
All right. Let's
So
look
now
at
you have the item
OPAC.
type book at the bottom, so you get a logo, an icon. Eileen, what questions do you have? What's happening with what you're doing?
We're a consortium where we do centralized cataloging for 37 libraries. So our libraries enter a brief bib, what we call a brief bib, just author, title, publisher, and they add their own item records with barcodes. So we don't have to make the item record on OCLC. So our workflow is we go into OCLC, and the catalogers here will know more about it. But we go into OCLC and import records or export records into Koha one by one to overlay specific short bibs on our system. And it keeps defaulting to the fast add framework rather than the default framework. We want the libraries have to use the fast add framework because there's no mid-level permissions in Koha, unfortunately. And we don't allow them to update full bibs. So they should only have access to brief bibs and not import from OCLC. We do all the imports from OCLC for them. So we overlay the brief bib on our system, and it keeps defaulting to a fast add framework instead of the default framework. Because once we import, we don't want the libraries touching it. They can only touch short records that are imported with fast add, or not imported, but created with fast add. They might want to update the pagination or something. But once it comes in from OCLC, we want the record to be the default framework where nobody else can touch it except central site if necessary. So that's the issue. It's we don't need to create the item on the OCLC side. We just use, what did Michelle say, a 999. But it's
999 subfield C, and then that overlays the
overlay.
Yeah.
direct
so
record.
I don't know whether there's any other consortium on here who can help us maybe outside the meeting, but it keeps defaulting to the fast framework rather than the default. So, and there's no way for us to do a search to update the frameworks from fast add to default. The system doesn't accommodate that for some reason. So we'd be quite happy to run a batch, to find them and run a batch update on frameworks. So that's a development we'll be putting in. if anybody's interested in that. So we need to be able to find these things that have the OCLC number and update
Eileen?
the framework.
Okay, we're a consortium. We're not very big, but what we do is import a batch of records from OCLC, which is a file. It's basically a .dat file. And I run it through the StageMark Records tool and tell it to match on either OCLC number, which we have added in the 001 field. But you can do it to the 035 field, except there are multiple 035s in many OCLC records because they've merged them.
We would love to
But
make contact.
We can
and-
also match on ISBNs or ISSNs. And that I tell it to overlay. And it does want the 942 in the record, but it will let us import without that. It's just that anytime we have to edit the record, it says add the thing.
Same here.
That sounds like a reasonable workflow to you guys? Bruce? you had
Yeah,
your hand
I
up.
mean, I think what Nancy is doing, she's exporting one by one. If we export in batch, it will pick the default framework. But for some reason, when we export, because Nancy likes to compare the short record with the full record on OCLC before overlaying it. So we'd be interested in looking at your, if you were willing to share your workflow. I don't want to take up the whole meeting with it, but maybe we can change something in our workflow.
We also do a lot of original cataloging here. So our cataloger needs to be able to work on the OCLC side and then bring the record in.
Yeah.
So it's, it's complicated.
I do original cataloging here as well.
Mhm.
And it works pretty well for us. You can import one record at a time. If you only have one, you can import. I would think I probably wouldn't do more than 100 at a time. Because if you get a hiccup, then it's really a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But
The issue is
but
it
the
changed.
record match is pretty good, and you can run a record. You can run I would run a report to list the brief records.
We do that every day.
And then you can test those.
Okay, that's
don't
what I
know.
was about to ask. How do you do a report on brief records?
We have a report if anybody wants the code. But I would be
Would you mind-
interested, Jane, in seeing your workflow in more detail so we can see if we need to change ours. Well, obviously we do because it's not working for us what we're doing.
I'm going to throw out there that if you have a report, yes, someone always wants the code. So please put it on the Koha report wiki. And
Yes.
also if you participate in Mana, share it in Mana.
Mana what? We're
Um,
new. We don't know any of these acronyms.
So there's two
Welcome.
ways. Brief, yeah.
Thank you.
Brief detour, topic wise. There are two ways to share reports. My favorite, the lowest tech, is sharing it on the Koha Reports wiki. There's a direct link to it from the reports area in Koha. It's like called something like Koha Reports Library, something like that. And editing the wiki is really easy. I can help you. Many people can help you, and put your report there. Then another way, within Koha itself, if you've set it up, is sharing your report into a knowledge base called Mana. And Koha currently can share reports there and subscriptions. And there's some good resources online about Mana and setting it up. And if you share reports to Mana or search Mana for a report, when you bring it in, you need to add some carriage returns and things to it.
Wow, I haven't a clue how to do that. How do you spell Mana?
M-A-N-A. And I know Bywater Solutions did a video on it. And it should be in the manual. We participate in it, we use it. And that's something that I think the Koha-US sysadmin group would be more than happy to help with, show, and everything.
We have a link to it on our, when you click on administration, at the very top, it says share content with Mana KB. And then we haven't shared, but It's if you want to share there, I think there's a link there.
And there's a system preference where you have to like turn it on.
I think
Okay.
there's also some back-end setup, like you have to have Bywater, do a little finagling. Ours is not on either.
But Jane and any other network that does this batch export would be interested in talking to you if you
I'll
were
put my
willing to
email.
share your workflow.
I am
Oh,
supposed-
Michelle
I am
added the
supposed to
report
do that.
here. Yeah.
I'll put my email in chat,
Okay. Thank
Eileen.
you. Yep.
Um,
And anyone
as-
else who is a network or a consortium or whatever, that would be great. And
I was
Michelle
trying
has
to get it in
posted
chat.
the code for the report. I mean, she's put it in chat.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you.
Exporting links.
And this, I came in late, I apologize. And this report is to do what?
Oops.
For
It's
us, it's to find the brief records that haven't been overlaid yet.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do cataloging in a far smaller scale. And when I had something, I just download it as an MRC file and then go through Mark Edit and take out the 650 that are in something other than English, the OCLC fast. And it's a lot easier to do in Mark Edit.
Thank
And
you.
our workflows happen almost entirely in Koha. So I know that our catalogers use OCLC, but it's like tertiary. It's not even secondary. It's like the third thing they go to. So I can't offer help with our workflows. Sorry.
Eileen, are your catalogers familiar with Mark Edit?
Well, they're here.
Oh, okay.
Michelle is, I think. I'm not
Oh,
sure
okay.
about
Sorry.
Nancy. I'm not. I used to be a cataloger, but I'm not anymore. So I have no idea about Mark Edit.
Should have directed
So
it
maybe
to
we should
Michelle.
start.
Do you know
Michelle
Mark
and
Edit?
Nancy.
Oh,
Nancy.
just learning it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
It is well worth learning.
yeah. Definitely. I definitely want to learn more about it. Because yeah, I know we can do a lot more editing, batch editing in it. And that's what I do. I do most of the like big batch edits, and I haven't been able to do that in Koha yet. So yeah, so I definitely need to learn Mark Edit so I can do my big batch edits again.
When I'm doing
Plug for the upcoming Koha-US conference. One of my sessions in the breakouts is how to set up frameworks in Koha, authorized values, and how to use Mark Edit to batch edit your item types. So one session's just on workflows, and then another session is on this is how you do it. More interactive, helping bring your computer and your records, and we will have a batch editing party. That's the goal. So come to the US conference.
when I've done presentations on Mark Edit, for people who don't know anything about it, I use my knife rack in my kitchen thing. It's like a Swiss Army knife. I think it can do a few things. It actually does an awful lot more. But today we're just discussing these two things.
And it also comes with a super helpful user community and super helpful developer. Terry Reese is terrific.
He never sleeps.
He seems to never sleep, and he speaks user.
I have a bit of a weird question. So I'm an ILO librarian at a medical library who's starting to help with the like cataloging side of stuff. So basically, this also goes back to kind of Koha. And so we do have Koha, and we use OCLC for various things. So basically, we're doing a project right now where we have a bunch of, basically it's serials. And what we're trying to do is a lot of these things we're basically checking our records, and we have a bunch of these. They're already in Koha. They're there. So basically, what we're trying to do now is we're checking to see if they're in OCLC, and I'm starting to use connection, just dipping toes in. So I'm trying to find out if there's so basically right now, there's some things we have local holdings in connection, but a lot of stuff, potentially like hundreds of things aren't in there. Do you know if there's some way that you can, I've seen that there's ways to move things from connection OCLC to Koha. Is there a way to do it like the opposite way? Because right now, basically we're doing literally everything by hand manually, and it's really slow.
I would go through OCLC for that. They have a reconciliation program that's free the first time, and they'll run your entire database and match to OCLC records. Then it's up to you to keep your holdings up to date.
Okay, thank you. Because I'll find out like if we I'll ask our electronic resources librarian if we've done something like that before.
Actually, if you're using connection,
when I started doing this, I'm like, so.
If you're using connection, I would go up into the help and support area and contact OCLC support. They're very good about helping you use their own program.
Yes, and I know many libraries that have done the reclamation project, and it's a really good thing to do. Connection Client also has some batch searching and batch operations, but go for this sort of thing on that scale, I've heard the reclamation project is really good.
Perfect, thank you. And do you know
Kelley,
oh, pardon, go ahead, Frank.
I just texted or put something in the chat. I'm also a medical librarian working in a very small medical library, and we don't really worry about serials too much, but I put my email address in if you need anything that I might be able to help with.
Perfect.
And you can get an awful lot of, you can get a lot of records from Z3950 from NLM, and they don't throttle it like LC does.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
So does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring to the group?
Well, if no one else will, I brought this up, I think, at last month's general meeting. And I'm staging mark records and then importing into the catalog. The screen sort of takes me to odd places. And it doesn't show a lot of progress. It just goes records updated and then blank. And then 30 seconds later, if you hit F5, it'll finally refresh and give you the information. And sometimes it says, go to job list. Well, that's not really where I wanted to go. I wanted to go back to cataloging. Haven't been able to write down exactly what's happening, but it's sort of not really a glitch, but a bump.
So Fred, I'm experiencing that too. I'm in acquisitions, and so I import a lot of batch records, and I found with 2111, I ended up writing to Bywater because I'm like, look, there are extra steps. I can't see now what I just imported. It used to list everything that I imported. And now you're right, there's like job details. There are two other things you can click on, and it's not always where you want to go. So it's a little bit frustrating for me.
Yes. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Things are supposed to get better with upgrades, right? Not more complicated.
Well, my one thing I haven't really done is actually praise anything in 2211, but I really do like the new interface. I really love the new cataloging homepage. There were a lot of things that were under tools that seemed really cataloging, so it's so nice having those together. And as I say, I'm loving 2211. I wouldn't go back. I think it's just, it was so huge that, and there was so many things in it that there were a lot of little minor speed bumps or things that's like, okay, this is all great, but now
There's that piece about usability and being able to see the actual buttons that we really lost this time. I'm just retired, so I have old eyes, and us old eye people can't see those little bitty things, as you noted, Heather. I mean, I had not found that piece in the search, so that I would go out of authorities and go back in. I'd be able to use the thing, but the second search didn't work. It was so annoying. And I've been closing a lot of death dates, so fortunately I lucked out when I was working on personal names, but the stuff about going through and searching for duplicate authorities in the topicals, no way. And the report for duplicate authorities has some interesting bits. So qualify that. They need someone who actually isn't able to see very well to look at their new interface before it goes up.
yeah, I think the ratio of, like, when I've enlarged my browser window, yeah, turned up the resolution, but say looking at, in the staff interface, looking at the record in the normal view, its text is then so large, and then the surrounding search bar, top bar, sidebar things are tiny. I think with, older eyes, I would have appreciated a little bit larger on the top and size ratio to the normal view, because I don't want the normal view like screaming at me large, 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 so I can't see it. But that's not easily customizable to me, telling the parts of the screen. But overall, once I know where everything is and I get it kind of the way I like it, I'm liking the features of 2211 better. I think chiefly because of what's in that. When I go to cataloging, what's there for me all one place as someone in tech services.
Yeah, I really like the ability to add a second tab to the main OPAC screen too. Through news.
You can also create custom search facets to put in, and they show up at the top of your facet. So if your users are, and you can pick, I want this in the staff client or I want it in the OPAC. So if your users are going to advanced search and selecting the same things over and over, you can create like something custom that way and put it up on top of your facets, so that then your users could use something like keyword with that facet, keyword with that facet, and it is faster.
Going back to the workflow issue with batch deletion, that sparked a memory that I was trying to make that more user-friendly, and I pulled that up in my test server, and it looks like it's still sort of broken, but I can show you what I did to sort of alleviate some of that.
Yes, please.
So this one. So I added, with some jQuery, a little box here that pulls the job ID off of this link and runs it into a report in this link so that I can click here and see what items I actually deleted, which is still not as good as it used to be because it used to be all displayed on this page. And I agree that's not user friendly. It's extra clicks, however. But I'm realizing I left that unfinished because there's a little spinning thing here that's supposed to tell me how many items were deleted, and it's just been spinning forever. But yeah, I agree with you all. That's frustrating. It's like adding extra. I hate when they add extra clicks. Like that's backwards progress. But I understand it in this case. I mean, the reason it's doing that is because they're queuing those jobs in the background now instead of doing it at the point you press the button, which helps resource management, and it lets you like let things, like there's lots of processes running in Koha at one time, so it lets things go in an order that doesn't bog down your system. But from a user standpoint, it is a little frustrating, and I've gotten lots of complaints from my librarians about not being able to see what they've just done without more clicks.
We've actually had a lot of complaints from our circulation desks about how slow this new upgrade is. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that, but it's we've been trying a lot of different things. Yes, I see some heads nodding.
Yeah, ours is even, it's not super slow, but it's noticeably slower.
Well, so I think this came up on another meeting as well. I wasn't sure if it was this group, but yeah, Koha, we keep getting the spinning circles, and sometimes it'll be held there for actually 3 minutes. You know, and we have patrons coming up to the desk. I heard that they had moved to AWS at one point. We didn't know, but they're not finding anything on their end. We're documenting everything, how long it's taking, and they can't find anything. But other groups have said they've had issues as well. So I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, that's strange because we keep telling them Bywater is our supplier, and it seems like we're the only people that have slowness. It seems that way. The way that we're talking to them is like, it's only affecting you. It's only you guys. It's you're the problem.
Actually, no.
Nice
Okay.
to hear.
Those of us who are supported by Bywater tell Bywater. I hadn't told Bywater because it's not huge, but I will tell Bywater. By the way,
please,
okay,
everyone. Yeah.
Tell Bywater. Okay.
We actually went to the expense of upgrading our internet speed with our 2 suppliers. And they're still saying at circulation, particularly, that it's like 6 seconds between, you know, I mean, they're checking out piles of books, and 6 seconds doesn't sound too much, but when you're doing that, and the self-check, the self-check, patrons are going off with piles of books and half of them are not checked out because they don't know to wait. So we're thinking of installing or having those sounds activated at least if they can do it at the self-check. There's some like audio cue, but yeah, please let Bywater know. We can share our ticket number. I don't know whether you're allowed to do that, but I'm happy to, because we're at our wit's end.
Do it.
Hey, this is a wild guess, and I'm sure Bywater have considered it. I'm not supported by Bywater or anybody. When I installed Elasticsearch, my instance wouldn't work anymore until I upgraded from 2 to 4 gigs of RAM. Could it be that the new Koha needs more RAM? I think someone would have mentioned it by now.
Yeah, they upped our RAM, also a few other things, and gave us more rack space. as well. So they said that they were working it on their end, but again, the way, like, we just met with our support person and it was really like we're the only ones experiencing it. So it certainly makes us seem like something's wrong with our setup or something. So it's nice to hear that others are experiencing the issue, but yeah, they did up our RAM, definitely. I'll find the ticket because I know that they okay.
Yeah, I have the ticket number here. I don't know whether this is legal or not to share it, but we're at our wit's end. And as I said, we went to the expense of upping internet speed, which we were overdue anyway. So I've put in the ticket number here if anybody wants to reference it. I think that's the ticket number. Michelle, can you double check, please? But, you know, we're a tourist destination. So summer, our population triples, quadruples, Cape Cod, you know, Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket. And, you know, Bywater has done all of what Michelle mentioned. We've upped our internet speed and people are still complaining. One thing we told circ staff to do was uncheck, you know, that box. Have I got the image saved? Let me see if I have. No,
it's a box that shows all the checkouts as you're checking material out.
So we've told them to keep that unchecked, but of course they're not doing it. You know, if they keep the box unchecked, it seems to help a little. It's where they can see each checkout. So
yeah,
is anyone else using that box?
Yeah, we leave that up, but like, so you're seeing it in self-checkout, but you're also seeing it in the staff client.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
so, like,
it's both.
At one point it was made to work where you just keep going, like you rip it, you scan, and it'll catch up because that table doesn't have to reload every time
Right.
to log the checkout.
Oh,
So,
we were told it has to reload every time, weren't we? Am I dreaming that? That
No,
it's taking
unchecking the box prevents it from reloading every time. That was the idea, but
yeah.
like even if you have that box checked, or even if you're showing the table, it should like be able to pick up the checkouts like without letting it like reload. Like you should.
Yeah, they're claiming that things are missed because they go too fast. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's happening with
We're
us as well. So it keeps spinning, Jason, and so it's not in a mode where it can accept anything. And I just like to clarify that this was happening before we switched over to 2211 as well. And again, we're documenting everything, like where we are and and this is happening not just at our location. We have a bookmobile too. It's happening too, and another library location because we thought, oh, is it just our library, like our set location? So something has to be going on.
So where are you at, Christy?
We're in Monterey, California.
And it's a public library consortium or public library
We're
system?
a public library, and we just share we share Koha with another library. So it's kind of a consortium.
And have you reported it to, oh, you said you have documented it.
Yeah,
I mean, we're at the point where we're
we
sending.
can't find anything. They're like, we can't find anything. Nothing's wrong on our end. And it's like,
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I thought it would just happen to us with 2211, but Michelle says no, it was happening before. But the reason it's kind of gaining momentum with our libraries is because they're now getting busier and they're finding it hard to cope. So I guess we could try what Jason said, just tell them to keep scanning, but things are being missed.
Yeah, so I found the original. So this is something that we helped develop. This is a real old bug that talks about converting that checkout to an AJAX data table so that so it would speed up the checkout process. So there's the history on how it should work is in that bug. And if that's not what you're seeing, or you're seeing that things are getting missed when you're using it that way, then I think that is a valid bug, and I'm concerned because we haven't upgraded yet. But I mean, if it was happening before you upgraded, I need to like sit down and really test it here too.
I'll just read just a second of, we got this email in over the weekend about the self-check, and it's a very funny guy. We should call our self-checkout machine Oak because it bluffs. Now they're from Oak Bluffs. So he was talking about that the machine lies. It's Marco from Oak Bluffs. Our self-check machine is a liar. Patrons will occasionally scan books and get a "this item cannot be checked out at this station" error. But for some reason, if you go back to the account summary, you see that the checkout has indeed checked out. So it's checking out, it's telling them it isn't. So the computer says it's not doing one thing that it actually is doing. And I've verified myself. Can anyone fix this? So that was one issue of the self-check, is they're actually producing error messages when it is going through. So that's a little different than the regular checkout is so slow that things are actually getting skipped.
Are you using SIP connected self-checks, or are you using the Koha self-check?
Oh, Koha.
Koha
So we have two libraries that have third-party software, but most use Koha. These are the Koha libraries.
Okay.
So it's a variation. In Oak Bluff's case, the system is lying, which is hilarious, but the items are actually checked out. But then we have other places like Harwich and places like that have a high-speed internet where patrons are bringing back stuff that they checked out on self-check and they've never been checked out. So it's like the Wild West out there. I mean, I don't know what to do at this point.
I'm going to suggest a few things. Let's all who are Bywater customers tell Bywater about our slowness, because I know that with our 2211 upgrade, our system got slower in all areas I'm using noticeably. Also, I'm going to tell Bywater they should watch this portion of the recording and look at the chat. Also, people who are not Bywater customers who have upgraded to 2211, are your systems also slower? Please, take a look. Also, those of you, take these circ issues to the Circulation and Public Services group too, because they have a different area of experience than the rest of us.
And probably the sysadmin and certainly
Yes.
general meeting.
Yes.
We bring it up at every meeting we go to.
Okay,
Yes. Good. Good.
I would jump in on this, but if we do 3 checkouts a day, that's an awful lot.
See,
Yeah,
I was convinced it was since 2211. But at this point, it's all mushed together, so we're not even sure.
It
But
seems more exacerbated.
We've been hearing more about it since we went to 2211. So I suspect it has something to do with that, but I could be wrong. But also we're sending on our open ticket, we're now going to load a video because you can explain until the cows come home. So, sorry, that's an Irishism probably, but
no, we use that here too.
Okay, good. Sometimes I forget. So we have one library who is very happy to do little videos, and we're adding those to the ticket. So a visual always helps, I feel.
Yes.
They did comment, I forget which one of you just commented on the Elasticsearch, maybe it was Jason, that they said they resolved the problem with the Elasticsearch server, and they wondered if that had resolved our issue, but it did not.
Yeah, I think that came up for us too, didn't it, Michelle?
I know we're on version 6 or whatever, and it needs to be upgraded to 8. Is that what the problem is? I think it came up at another cataloging meeting. I want to hear that Elasticsearch was incompatible at some point. Yeah, I forget that.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I brought it up, but it was brought up, I think, at the last general meeting. Lauren, I think you chimed in. And you
I was
probably
the
know
one
more
who
than I
brought
do.
it up.
Okay, good.
Some of it was they did not update the documentation on the bugs that were there. So I think it has been updated, but I think there may still be an issue. I don't know if the issue has completely been resolved because I don't understand a lot of the words they're using. This is another one of those times where they go into text speak mode and I'm like, sure, yeah, whatever you say. And let our IT guy talk with the Koha community because I've got no clue other than I want it and I'm waiting patiently. Though at this point, I'm like, we're hoping to upgrade in the fall. So I'm like, I'll just wait until we upgrade. Let's, handle one big thing at a time.
I hope it's straightened out soon because apparently I'm doing a presentation on Elasticsearch along with Nick.
Yay.
We have one thing that just popped into the chat. Someone asking whatever happened to hashtag Mashcat.
You didn't know about this? Well, years ago, I think Galen actually led it from Equinox or something, or Evergreen. And Mashcat is that system administrators and catalogers would meet and hang out and go out for drinks and stuff. And it was just so you could actually speak the same language because, yeah, we're always speaking different languages. And it was a way to bring catalogers and sysadmin together. So, but it hasn't happened in years. But yeah, it was funny that I saw Galen pops up on the bugs all the time when, I used to see him at those things. So we should bring that back. Learn the language again.
Well, we're at the top of the hour. I wanted to thank everyone for coming. I want to mention too, we're going to have another July cataloger special interest group on July 27th later in the day for those who the morning doesn't work. So drop in if you'd like. And I want to thank everybody for coming, and I'm going to stop the recording.